Good afternoon. Most of you know, but we're on our third day of Sesshin. And the Dharma is realized at all times, but the practice of Zen is actually it's very difficult. Yeah. And it takes a lot of perseverance, and it takes a lot of effort, and it's our lineage comes from silent illumination. So the Soto Zen School is Soto Zen. It's very, very subtle. So we tend to look far away to try to learn about this self, but Soto Zen is very subtle, and it's the lineage. Of course, it goes all the way back to Shakyamuni Buddha, but it has to do with this silent illumination within inside of yourself. So returning and bringing your awareness actually where you are. So that's why we have all these forms, and these forms they're actually relentless, and they make you actually let go of yourself. And you can't let go of your greed, anger, and ignorance without this a true effort to go inside yourself, which is outside. So from the outside, of course, the forms they look it's very precise, and it makes you kind of, it's like a pot, it's like an oven or a pot being cooked, and you have to stay on your seat to actually you would say to cook all the ingredients of your life. You have to actually stay on they call it the Vajra, right? The Vajra seat. It's the diamond seat. So that's why you do not move from, where you're standing, where you're sitting. So the form is so precise that it doesn't allow for the conditioned mind to arrive within the instant of the present moment. And when we say, oh yeah, put the salt and pepper shakers at the end. From the outside, people might think, oh God, that's like, but it's creating a vessel in which then all things are. We can see our mind where it is. Handing out the sutra books, you can see where your mind is. Offering incense, you can see where your mind is. So all this is, most people, I think, just think that studying or doing meditation, it's just in the Zendo, but that's a very false view. To come and just sit in the Zendo, and then anything that you do outside is my time, but that doesn't exist. My time does not exist in the Buddhist practice. But these all the things that we do, then I was watching you, you hit the bancho, so we ring the great bell outside it. On the bell is Sonoma Ma is Sonoma is, of course, it's Sonoma San, the mountain, it's Sonoma Mountain, but Sonoma Ma means also as it is, and also in the kanji, Sonoma Ma means ancestors capable of grinding and polishing. And then it says I take refuge in Shakyamuni Buddhas. I take refuge in the awakened mind. So that's actually what we're doing is we're offering ourselves in a very a deep way. So it's not just doing these forms just because you're told to, but how long can you how many times can you bow throughout your life? How many times can you bow with being there or not being there? So it's an aim. It's an aim. So of course, Sonoma Mountain Zen Center then is the relative. It's all the things that we do, and then Genjoji, which is ancestors capable of grinding and polishing, and these ancestors are the one who hits the bell. And you hit the bell, and then the relative and absolute integrate absolute, and then it goes down, and Genjoji is manifesting this present moment is deep down. So this deep down has to do with then the relative, which is all the things that we do, the function of serving, everything that we do. But then there's an absolute that actually you're ringing the bell for the entire universe. It's not just to go to Zazen. And also, we're not just coming to Zazen. Boy, if you think we're just hearing the bell to go to Zazen, and that's a big mistake. Big mistake to just lift up our oryoki bowls and it's time to eat. However, that mind does exist, but we make a big mistake, and then the big mistake is then we eat. Then we eat. Yeah, so it's this, it's realizing this silent illumination is realizing our own delusions. When we're sitting on the cushion, boy, when we're sitting there, it's not peaceful. People say, oh, go to the Zen Center, it's really peaceful. But it is a deep peace, but it's not the peace that we can even conceive of. But the peace is actually, the peace of it is to actually let go of your greed, anger, and ignorance, and you realize it wherever you are. So that's the Zazen, so it's not, yeah. So this third day, Roshi would always say, and actually a lot of the teachers, even at Eiheiji, they would say the third day is you start to, maybe people don't want to hear it, you start to go deeper. Yeah, you start to go deeper, but This depth is actually the mind then is settling, is slowly settling, but we 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 don't want it. We want the I back. you know. So we go this way and that way, but to remain stable and calm within our practice and with whatever we do, then something very deep happens. This your true self appears, something a lot different than you think that who you think you are. Yeah, so this is this the Sesshin, it's supposed to wear you down. It's supposed to have you give up, you know? That's what this is all about, is it's giving up the self. Not sitting and thinking, God, I'm doing such great zazen, you know? But that comes too, and that's okay. But then to realize that, then there's another side too. We always talk about just doing the good stuff, but then what about all the bad stuff? Delusion, delusive mind. Good stuff is delusive mind. You know, bad stuff is delusion. So actually, everything you do it's all a joke. It's all delusion. All of it's delusion. You know, right or wrong, angry or sad, long or short. It's all delusion. But we sit there and then we realize it. We realize this delusion, and that's what's very, very deep about it. And when we realize it, then we're actually realizing the realization of everything. So Dogen writes in the Fukanza Zengi, in which we recite every day in the evening for the Ango. This is the third week of Ango, and now we're in Sesshin. You should therefore cease from practice based on intellectual understanding, pursuing words and following after speech, and learn the backward step that turns your light inward to illuminate yourself. Body and mind of themselves will drop away, and your original face will be manifest. If you want to attain suchness, you should practice suchness without delay. So it goes into writing about a quiet room, eat and drink moderately, cast aside all involvements, and cease all affairs. But most of the time, boy, it's hard. The thoughts come up, you know. But you have to trust and feel yourself sitting there, and then eventually these thoughts, they don't grip you as much. But the thoughts are endless. You know, you go to bed with thinking, you get up with thinking. It's endless. Yeah, cease all affairs. Do not think good or bad. Do not administer pros and cons. You know, we think of like, oh, how am I going to put on the tying rope when I arrive, you know, in the kitchen? You know, go through many things so you can cut corners, or you could save time. You know, you grab your mug and then fill it up because you'll shave off 10 seconds so you could sleep. You know, doing the candles in the back. this is all learning about, actually, it's all Buddha's time, it's all Buddha's time. Yeah, administering pros and cons. Cease all the movements of the conscious mind, the gauging of all thoughts and views. Have no designs on becoming a Buddha. There's a term that turning your light inward to illuminate yourself. There's a term. It's echo hensho. And echo A is to turn, and ko is light, and then hensho is to actually return the illumination. So this translation, turn your light inward to illuminate yourself, but it's turn the light and return the illumination. So there's three meanings of this echo hensho, and the first one is right after the sun goes down. And the sunset, when the sun goes down behind Sonoma Mountain, then still the light and the light shines in the sky, and also you can see the light not from the sun, but the light from other sources, actually on the eastern mountains. So this light still illuminates all things, though we think that it's behind the mountain. We can't see the sun anymore. The second meaning is actually before a person passes away. Before a person passes away, their face turns bright. And actually, I did a memorial a week ago. Kashin and I did a memorial, and this person, they were going to pass away in November, and the family came, and this person really came back. Like, she totally came back, and they didn't know what it was, but she was dying. She was dying. And then they left, and then of course the person passed away in April. But it's this it's the time that the person almost passes away. It's like a twilight, and a twilight is interesting. I was looking up the word twilight, and it's a state not clearly defined is twilight. So it's in between this dying and living. So it's the time that the full night, the sunrise, the full night, between full night and sunrise, or between sunset and then full night. And there's usually people, some people go to the ocean to see this flash of light when the sun goes down, and at the ocean there's a flash. So twilight. And last is the second wind. The third day is the second wind. And we experience this second wind when we are totally tired, and there's no other energy left. Something happens, and then this new energy continues, like a athlete. He or she, I was watching the Olympics, and the track runners run around the track, and they run, and then all of a sudden, boy, they really take off. It's amazing. But this being spent is something. The sun is gone. Life is gone, and also energy. When everything is gone, then there's this life force or something that illuminates, or it's the illumination actually of all things, and illuminates actually the world around us. So it's not just us, but it's the illumination, or it's actually the realization of all things. So the zazen, the zazen I speak of is not learning meditation. So boy, that's a big one. Usually people come to meditation or come to the Zen Center to understand themselves, which is good, understand themselves or improve themselves, to heal themselves. But it's not this self, but it's learning about, of course, who is it? Who is this? Who is it that sits? Who is it? Who is sitting? It is simply the Dharma gate of repose and bliss. The practice realization totally culminated enlightenment. It is the manifestation of ultimate reality. Yeah, boy, it's great. The practice is great. Traps and snares can never reach it. Once its heart is grasped, you're like the dragon when he gains the water, like the tiger when he enters the mountain. For you must know that just there in Zazen the right Dharma is manifesting itself, and that from the first dullness and distraction are struck aside. I'm going to read from this the Shobogenzo, and it's this writing that Dogen did, and he did it at Kipoji, which is a small temple about like an hour hike away from Eiheiji, and it's called Hotsu Mujoshin, establishment of the will to the supreme. Hotsu means to establish, and Mujo means supreme, and Shin means mind or will. So Hotsu Mujoshin means the establishment of the will to the supreme truth. He gave this lecture to some builders at Kipoji Temple when they were building it. and he was basically saying whatever they do, it's an offering. Actually, all the things that they do is an offering. It's the offering to the awakened mind. Preached to the assembly at Kippoji Temple in the Yoshida district of Eishu on the 14th day of the second lunar month in the second year of Kangin, 1244. Hotsu Mujoshin means the will to pursue the Buddhist truth, which can never be pursued for any purpose other than the truth itself. Eihei Dogen highly esteemed this attitude in studying Buddhism. So it's an attitude that we bring to actually all of the forms that we do. So it's the attitude, it's bowing. You place your palms together and you bow, you feel yourself. That's the attitude of coming back to this place. That's what we're doing, is we're reconditioning the conditioned mind to come back. But usually, the conditioned mind is over here and over there, but this is reconditioning, so it's short-circuiting. The conditioned mind, our body always follows the conditioned mind. This conditioned mind, we run like this, like it's like a horse, like a wild horse. Follow the conditioned mind. Our body does, but we recondition the conditioned mind and flip it around. So therefore the body and the conditioned mind starts to merge with the body, and it's short-circuited on what we think is good and bad. We short-circuit it by actually wholeheartedly, bowing, serving, cooking, and all those things. So it's an attitude. So it's an attitude of, it's offering, it's devotional. So it's outside of yourself. You're offering. Oh, when we do prostrations, what is it in the Fusatsu? How does it go? I take refuge in Buddha, right? Does anyone know with all sentient beings, raise the way-seeking mind, let the unsurpassable way be realized. Boy, that's big. I take refuge in the Dharma. Penetrate all teachings, let wisdom be like the ocean. We're surrendering, and we're holding up everything, or the Bodhi mind, over our conditioned mind. And then at the end we say, I take refuge in the people, let peacefulness pervade everywhere. So we do this to actually help others. It's not just for our self-centered. The practice is not for ourselves. So within these limits that we do the serving, we do the timing of the sutra books. We walk in the sanghouse at a certain time, we bow at a certain time. Within these limits, then we find this limitlessness, which is actually touching into all creations. Tiles, pebbles, walls, everything is the limitlessness that we are actually becoming part of. It's the emptiness that we're touching through all these forms that we do. So it's like ringing the bancho. It's the relative and absolute, right? Come together, and then you are there, and somehow you're refreshed. And then again, you're like yawn or something, and then you go bong like that. And again, you offer yourself. You cut the carrot, and then you serve it. You're serving it to yourself. You're serving it to all beings. It's not just you're serving food, but the awakened mind, we're serving this supreme meal. Oh, to the altar, we're serving the supreme meal. So everything that we do is actually establishing, it's actually imprinting something very deep in yourself that it's actually the Buddha's way, Snow mountains and nirvana should be likened because they are experienced directly and are straightforward. To grasp what are called snow mountains is to liken them to snow mountains. To grasp great nirvana is to liken it to great nirvana. The first ancestor in China says the mind in every instance is like trees and stones. What is described here as the mind is the mind as it is. It is the mind as the whole earth, therefore it is the mind as self and others. The mind in every instance, the mind of a person of the whole earth, of a Buddhist ancestor of the whole universe in the 10 directions, and of gods, dragons, and so on, is trees and stones, beyond which there is no mind at all. These trees and stones are naturally unrestricted by limitations such as existence, non-existence, emptiness, and matter. What this mind of trees and stones, we establish the Bodhi mind and realize practice and realization, for the mind is trees and the mind is stones. By virtue of this trees as mind and stones as mind, thinking here and now about the concrete state of not thinking, realized. After seeing and hearing the traditional teaching of this trees as mind and the stones as mind, we rise above the flotsam of non-Buddhism for the first time. Therefore, that we are not of the Buddha's truth. In regard to causes and conditions for establishing the Bodhi mind, we do not bring the Bodhi mind from elsewhere. We establish the mind by taking up the Bodhi mind itself. To take up the Bodhi mind means to take a stalk of grass and to make a Buddha, or to take a tree without roots, and to make a sutra. It is to serve sand to the Buddha, or to serve rice water to the Buddha. It is to offer a ball of food to living beings, or to offer 5 flowers to the Tathagata. They are the establishment of the mind which leads directly to realization of Buddha, and we must never abandon them midway. They are called merit achieved without doing, and called merit achieved without becoming. This is an interesting one. They are the reflection of the true reality and the reflection of the Dharma nature. They are the Buddha's concentrated state of samadhi. They are the attainment of the Buddha's dharani. They are the anuttara samyak sambodhi. They are arhathood, and they are the realization of Buddha. Apart from this, there is no method which is free of doing or free of becoming. The building of images and erecting of stupas is achieved through intentional doing. We should get it aside and not perform it. Cease thought and concentrating. The mind is non-doing. Non-arising and non-becoming are true reality. Observing and practicing the real form of the Dharma nature is non-doing. They're called merit achieved without doing. So when we do something, when we wholeheartedly do something, it's actually, we're not doing anything. It's actually a non-doing. Like the zazen is a non-doing. When we're wholeheartedly, then it's actually non-doing. It's a doing, but then a non-doing, but then it's a doing of the entire universe. When the zazen is doing zazen, then the whole body of the universe is actually doing zazen. Through these efforts, 100 millions of kalpas of practice and vows will be promoted. These efforts are establishment of a mind which will not be overturned in 100 millions of times of myriad kalpas. They are called meeting Buddha and hearing the Dharma. To go deep into the mountains is to consider the Buddha's truth. May be easy, but to build stupas and to build Buddhas is very difficult. Although each is accomplished through diligence and tirelessness, actively grasping the mind and being grasped by the mind may be much different. Through the piling up of such establishments of the Bodhi mind, Buddhist ancestors are realized.